Thanks for joining me on the Peace and Parenting podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome back to the Peace and Parenting podcast. I'm Michelle, and I am so glad you're here. I have been perusing some comments and reviews and ratings, and they are so lovely. And I would love to hear from more of you. I know we have thousands of podcast listeners, and we don't have thousands of ratings and reviews. So I would love to hear from you. I would love to know what you like about the podcast. And so if you are so inclined, please head on over to iTunes and write a review or submit a rating to all the other platforms. Okay. I want to talk about strong-willed kids. Because I have one, because most of our community is made up of them. And many people who have strong-willed kids end up in our programs because they do not succumb to manipulation. They do not succumb to punishments or consequences, and they fight very deeply against them. And let's talk about the profile of a strong-willed child. Strong-willed children are often very sensitive, and their environment really speaks to them, and they're very in tune with their environment. If you look at them slightly the wrong way, they see that and they feel it. If someone says something that could be just innuendo, they understand that. They vibe off of us deeply, and they're constantly trying to find connection and make sure that they are safe. And so these children are very attuned to us. So all the things that we are feeling or that we are displaying in our personality or in our own feelings, they can see and they can feel those things. So having a strong-willed kid's really hard because they're on to us. Strong-willed kids do not want to be told what to do. Strong-willed kids do not want to be controlled. Strong-willed kids have a very deep sense of free will and autonomy, and fighting against their own free will, if you fight against them, they feel as if that is an attack on their psyche, on their person, and they will go toe-to-toe with you. So strong-willed kids are not the kids that are going to comply often. They are not going to be as cooperative as other children. And it isn't because they're bad people. It isn't because they're defiant. It isn't because they're disrespectful. It's because they have a deep sense of self. And what a beautiful thing to have a deep sense of self. And what a beautiful thing to have a desire and a will to say no when you don't agree with something or when you believe something isn't fair. They really stand up for themselves. And so we like this in a child, in a profile of a person, because we want them to be able to do that moving forward as adults. But they're not easy children to parent. And why is because we have grown up in societies that believe that controlling children is where it's at, and that compliant children are good kids, and that kids who say yes should be praised and held up in society, and children who say no and who fight against and who might be what someone would consider disrespectful, we see them as bad kids. And that's just not true. They're not. They're not bad kids. But how can we navigate these beautiful, strong-willed kids that we adore, who are so lovely? How can we navigate them in the parenting realm better? I think there's one thing that's come to fruition for me is low demand parenting. You cannot demand a lot of strong-willed kids. In fact, we shouldn't really demand a lot of kids in general. We have to be really careful about what we're demanding of them. And where is it that we can lower our demands? Where is it that we can make those demands also less demanding? It's how you ask, right? It's how you request something. Are you demanding it, or are you asking with kindness? Are you asking with connection? Are you asking in ways that make sense for a child? Are you giving them real choice? And a lot of people talk about how choice is really important, especially for like ADHD kids, autistic kids, kids on the spectrum, that giving choice is really important. And I totally agree, except for when choice isn't really choice. So can we give them real choice? Do you want to take a shower today? Is a choice. Not do you want to take a shower now or do you want to take a shower in 10 minutes? That's not a choice. So can we give them real choice and be low demanding? If every day you're asking a strong-willed kid to take a shower and they're pushing against you, maybe there's a place to say like, hey, you don't have to take a shower every day. Are you that dirty? Maybe it's time for you to decide that you want to take a shower. And so where is it that we can give them choice and not be demanding about things? You have to take a shower. We're not getting the rule in the house is you have to be in bed with clean body and clean sheets. And that's the rule. And that's demanding. Strong-willed kids are not going to respond to that. They're going to immediately say no. Strong-willed kids love to say no to you. If you ask them to do something and you're not in a good connected place, 100% they're going to say no to you. In fact, they might say no to you even if you're in a good connected place. I have a client whose son says, I like the way no comes out of my mouth. He's strong-willed. And I think he's probably right. I don't even know if he knows why he's saying no, but often he says no because he just wants to say no to his parents. He wants to say, I'm not doing it. I want to decide on my terms if I want to do it. And this particular kid, he'll end up doing the thing later. He just wants to say no. So where can we be less demanding and how can we have our requests be more amiable, be with choice, real choice, be with connection so that we can not create the power struggle? Because what happens is we demand something of a strong-willed child and they say no very fervently. And then we demand it again. And then they say no. And then we get into a power struggle where now we need to win. We got to get that thing done. We're going to do whatever we can to get that thing done. So out come the threats, out come the bribes, out come the yelling, out come the anger. And that doesn't get you anywhere with the strong-willed kids because they don't give a crap. They're going to go toe to toe with you. So where can you be less demanding? Be really cognizant of what you are asking of your strong-willed kid and how you are asking them. Another piece is where can you say yes? Are there places where you can say yes to a child? Because they also don't like to hear no. So when they're asking you something, are you being very analytical about why you're saying no? And is that no important? Yeah, you can't go play in the road. Nope, not happening. But yeah, you can have, 10 more minutes outside. That will go away a long way with a strong-willed child. Now, you still might have to have a limit with them and they might get upset about that limit. And when they get upset about that limit, we come with empathy and understanding and we sit through that upset, but we don't rescind our limit. But if you're doing that with a strong-willed kid, they need to be few and far between because we need to say yes where we can. And we really need to say yes where we can with all kids because why are we saying no? And is that no making a lot of sense? Or are we just saying no to say no? I have another client who is also strong-willed and defiant herself. And she has a strong-willed and defiant kid. And this often happens. I have it with Esme. We get into this power struggle because we are as strong-willed as our child. And so our will meets up against theirs. And there's so many tangles. And unless we soften and lessen and be calm and flexible and demand less and learn to say yes more, we will constantly struggle with these kids. Now, we have to also expect that they're going to say no. Just expect it. You're going to get no. You're going to get no a lot. That doesn't mean you can't get cooperation, but you are going to get no's. And can you empathize with the no? Oh, you really don't want to do that. I know. Oh, putting your clothes on in the morning is so annoying. Can you come with empathy? Can you respond with empathy? Empathy is connection. Empathy creates it will help the prefrontal cortex get back online. It will help your child think better. So our kids, our strong-willed kids, will always probably say no first, even if they say yes in the end. Esme does it all the time. She said no. I asked her to do some errands for me over break here, over Christmas break. asked her to do some errands for me. She immediately came back. No, I can't do those. Oh my gosh, I'm too busy, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, fine, 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 fine. I'll do them. And she came back and she said, no, mom, I can do them for you. But it wasn't her idea. If it isn't a strong-willed kid's idea, then it's a no. If it's their idea, fine. But they want it to be their idea because they value themselves. They value their autonomy. They value their free will more than they value yours. And a more agreeable child or a more people pleasing child will be the opposite. They will value you and your feelings and the relationship they share with you. And they will try to preserve that as best they can by sacrificing themselves. Like I say all the time, I worry about those kids more than I worry about the strong willed ones because the ones who are sacrificing themselves, what happens there? If you sacrifice yourself and your feelings and your free will, if you do that enough, do you even know who you are? Do you even understand your own free will? Do you understand what you want or who you are? Or have you just sacrificed so much that you don't have a good understanding of yourself? Strong-willed kids, that's not the case. They know who they are. They know exactly who they are. But if we get into this battle of the wills and battle of the strong personalities with our child, will we lose them? Will we lose the relationship we share with them? Will we lose the connection? Because if you go tete to tete with them, they will not back down. We have to be the mature people. We have to fly at 30,000 feet. We have to say, of course, I'm going to say yes here. Of course, I'm going to have empathy here. Of course, I am going to be low demanding here because I can see my kids struggling and it's not worth it getting into this huge back and forth with my kid to damage the relationship I share with them. Now, this doesn't mean we become permissive where we say no. But when we say no, it's calm and kind and loving and connected. And we follow it up with empathy so that we can listen through those feelings and they feel heard because a strong willed kid needs to feel heard. But it also doesn't mean that we have to always give in. That's not what I'm saying at all. But expect when your child says no. And sometimes you'll have to accept that. And sometimes you won't accept that. And when you don't accept that, you have to come with connection. What I've seen more than anything is that these kids do best in homes full of connection. So they do best when there are no consequences, no punishments, no threats, no bribes, no timeouts, no taking things away, no yelling. They do the best in that environment. All kids do the best in that environment, but these kids change behavior when they're in that environment. They become calmer, more connected people. Also, connection in these kids, when they're living in a home full of connection, they become more cooperative. So you don't have as many power struggles. When you're coming with connection with these children, they become more cooperative over time. They might still say no, but like Esme, they'll come back and say yes. Or like one of my clients, the kid says no, and then he just turns around and does it, but he wants to say no first. But if you got stuck on the no, if you're a controlling parent, if you got stuck on the no, it might put you through the roof and then you would get stuck in a power struggle there instead of just accepting the no for now, but not accepting the no forever, allowing the child to make the choice to do the thing or revisiting it with a new low demand. You can always use play. Play is a great way to to elicit cooperation as long as you are living in a connected home and you aren't living in a control home and the only time you use play is when you want to get something done, then that becomes manipulative. But you can use play to elicit cooperation after you've heard the no. There are many places to go, but if we get upset and if we get into a power struggle after we hear no, then we're going to have a really hard time with these kids. So expect the no's and come with empathy or come with another piece of connection so that you can get around the no where you need to. Connection's your answer. It's play, it's empathy, it's setting limits with empathy, and it's spending time with our kids. That is connection in a nutshell. And so if we infuse our home with all of these things all of the time and we get rid of those things that erode connection, we will gain cooperation even with our strong willed kids, with all our kids, and it feels better. So if you have a strong-willed kid, do not get into a power struggle with these little people or big people. It's not worth it. Find ways around it. Find ways to come with connection instead. Find ways to build connection into your home on a daily basis so that you actually are cultivating cooperation with them. Strong-willed kids are no joke. They're really hard to parent if you feel like you're struggling and you don't know what to do. We've got amazing programs. We have a group coaching program and we have one-on-one coaching programs, and they're all so lovely. And we're so used to strong-willed kids. We're ready to help you. So there is a link in the show notes if you'd like to book an appointment for a discovery call and speak to one of our peace and parenting experts so that we can get you on a new path. Thank you for joining me on the Peace and Parenting Podcast. I am so glad you're here, and I can't wait to see you next time.